All right, okay, all right. Okay, family, what's happening out there today? March the 15th, Saturday. There's a good old song made by Elton John, Saturday Night's All Right for a Fight, right? And again, we know, us here, family, on a different view, that fight is not with humanity solely, right? It's in the mind, the things that we learn and the information we acquire. This is not to attack people, right? It's a different issue that's going on in the mind and in the heart of people, and you got to do that thing a little differently, right? You got to do that thing a little differently. Family, welcome in us who are the over 1100 plus strong, ever rising, who seek after, want to know, who love, hunger and thirst for that which is a different view. Family, welcome in. Today's topic, we're going to play a little bit of catch up, right? We're going to deal in the month of March today. We got to deal in the month of March today because that's important, right? But at the same time, we're going to continue laying groundwork as we have done this whole time. I couldn't form sentences there. Again, just walking the road that is life, family, right? It is life. We do a good job at trying to duck and dodge it. I was listening to a couple of older episodes here, just going through the archives, my recordings and such, just to see if I had spoken on the month of March. I didn't find anything. Family, if y'all out there, shout your boy out. We on all the social medias, again, just to put the word out there. We're on Spotify, of course, right? We're on Spotify for creators, as you formerly called Spotify for podcasters. We're on YouTube at A Different View 80, right? Those are the major places where we are right now. Of course, we will expand as necessary, right? As the need goes. Again, this is not for popularity. It's for empowering. That's where it is, right? And again, when they talk about a person's sexuality, we can do it responsibly, but it is to empower you from that which man has emasculated the woman and regulated how the woman can look, and then dumb down on her and call her a whore and a slut and all these other words. And family, we're going to use language on purpose, okay? This is why we put explicit content there. All these words with thoughts, hoe. They even call her out on her name, many other words, right? That men have put there when you can't control the women no more. Again, we're not down here to control each other, family. We are here solely to experience life's experiences together. When we don't, we incur that which is already the pre-woven consequence or reward. That has been sown in by the maker. That's where we're at, family. Okay? When people tell you and give you the excuse of what is not fair on this in life, understand that we're using a bit of a misnomer. And again, like we say on this podcast, there are high defenses in the mind of people that they stay stuck to. You got good house and bought Negroes out there that are okay while they talk this mess about transgender and homosexuality so much as the new witch hunt of the day. They're okay putting on that good cheerleader skirt for massa and cheerleading and caping for them so that they can continue a life of destruction, disruption, and disproportion in this life. Again, the triple D's, y'all. Okay? We must reiterate for those who find a problem with this. This is about responsibility with all the abilities given. That includes sex, eating, drinking, right? There's some interesting information that I was searching and listening to a while ago, dealing in what do you own, family? Because we get into this topic so much. I own my home, I own my car. And in reality, man, do you Uh, See again, this is something that has been set up by somebody else in which we live in, and it's hard, right? It's hard for folks to understand it. Trying to find this thing here, Doctor. I might not be able to find it, but when I do, we'll we'll bring it back up. Certain areas that have already been set up in life. One is healthcare, another is law. One is finances, right? Education. Right? Certain groups of people down here, we don't have no say in that. Right? You don't have a say in that. And we are we're kind of going at this from a standpoint of trying to plug in how do I say this? We're trying to plug in something that's just not there. Right? So we flip out when you look at what happened with President Trump and President Zelensky, but that's the name of the game, family, right? We flip out when we look at workers not being paid correctly, but that's the name of the game, family, right? You look at your black and dark and tan skinned brother and sister, right? All the different, again, as they say, the brown seed, the yellow seed, the black seed, the red seed, right? So on and so forth. Certain cultures talk this way, man. Again, you're watching the game. When you see the disproportion that you see, man, right? The game is working the way it's supposed to. The way they constructed it is working the way it's supposed to. For the life of me, I can't find this article on the different functions of life. Because there are a few here that people have a hold in. Religion is another, right? Again, you have to get away from religion and belief, two totally different thoughts and words and phrases, okay? But it is what it is. I mean, this is what life has been put down, and we got to understand it. This is what it is. All right, so we found it here. 10 areas of people activity. This is what you ask your phone. Now, again, we're talking about something that was established in the so-called Black movement. Again, we've talking about the American Indian movement, right, of which President Biden just released Brother Leonard from prison and again, people are going to have certain situations. Again, when you look at the FBI and the CIA, family, you got to understand something, okay? You're dealing in your government that took land from people that they should not. And again, we've established now, especially through archaeology and such, 3 groups of people and historical effect that's in the halls of the White House, right? Capitol Hill, so on and so forth, right? The native, Aboriginal people of these lands, right? Okay, this is going all the way from Canada down through South America, okay? Now, again, technically these 3 that we're naming here, which while they may all through those lands, okay, specifically the North American part, North and Central America, okay? The Mexican, which had a vast landmass, more than what you see now, living and crossing throughout the Mexican border that then became the U.S. border, right? And we talked about that with the Rio Grande, the Bravo River, right? And the dark-skinned brother and sister, right? These are the people living on these lands. Okay. This is before slave trade. This is before all this. These people were living here. Living, functioning, healthy societies here, right? All the stuff that you see transposed on the top of it now. Okay. And it ain't like these people went nowhere and we're erasing stuff. Stuff passes down. So you got to realize you start getting certain skin tones and different tones and stuff. The lighter that you get, man, you got to go back to how did that. Do you know how many dark skin tone people were owned by so-called white brothers and sisters? Do you know what they did instead of passing on labors of love? Literally, as the woman labors for that baby, right, to be born. You had a lot of sexual abuse in the form of rape that went on with our dark skin tone sisters. Abuse, right? There's no more time to run from this, family, right? And this is all you see. If they could do that to these dear sisters, then what's the difference what they do on your job, y'all? You know, and looking at the American Slave Code that you can find online, the PDF online, right? It's wild, the regulations that they set and the correlations of it today, family, today. Back then, today, people got to stop talking about what's in the past, because what's in your past affects your present, good or bad, right? We all got a responsibility. I get that. But what happened in the past, it affects your today and will affect your tomorrow if you don't do something about it, right? So we can't just discredit history. That's not, nope. 10 areas of people activity, just to put this to bed, and we're going to go on. Economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, war, and then one that was added on by our dear sister. Let me just make sure that I shut sound off, because I forget to do that. My apologies, family. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, right? Again, these were the 10 areas of people activity laid down by Dr. Neely Fuller Jr. The 10th one, Ms. Frances Cress Welsing added on, which is health. Do you own any of that in there? And they already messed with number 8, which is sex. War, we've already discussed, which is confusion. That's number 9. And again, the military, shout out to our militaries. Again, the holy notion of defense, as we've talked on this podcast, is most paramount. Shout out to the Ohio brothers and sisters, y'all. We finally getting it, family. You have got to talk to the bully. If you are tired of looking at death and violence, family, this is not time to be like, you need to be more like your brother, when the brother is the one kicking and hurting the little brother. And don't you know that happens in families? See, like we said, y'all, what happens in the family comes out in everyday life. But this is how people think in their mind, y'all. You just gonna let them beat you? You gonna let them hurt you? When we talk about peace and love, stuff like that, man, this has got nothing to do with self-defense. You're supposed to defend yourself. That's not supporting violence. It's supporting peace. We ain't trying to be out here to hurt nobody, man. We're trying to live life. It's folks that got a problem with it. Talk to the Nazi in Ohio first. But see, when people are doing the scapegoat dance, they got a good scapegoat dance, man. I mean, that thing is, you know, it's better than the like the neutron dance. It's okay. It's better than we done named different dances, right? It's better looking than that mambo, right? Or the samba, merengue. Right? The bachata, man, this thing is bad, man. I mean, this dance people do, this scapegoat dance they do in their mind, this has been a world-shaking, world-altering dance for centuries. They've been doing this mess. You hit them with the truth, they got you talk about the electric slide is bad, yo. They slide to the left. Or they slide to the right, right? No. You hurt people, there is a reaction to it. That's all. They even slide to the Bible. Hey, you're supposed to turn the other cheek, and you know sometimes we get a little too we try to get away from the eye for an eye part, you know. Again, that this is very real. See. The blind leading the blind, both fall in a ditch is real, y'all. There is nothing, when we're dealing with war, there's nothing but death and destruction. You know, civilizations didn't even mess with this kind of, see, again, when we talk about over in Europe, and yes, for those who do this, slide to this thought, right? The idea that tribes fought and all that kind of thing. Thank you for pointing out the obvious, Captain Obvious. We know people were fighting. We're talking about lessening it. So just because you saw it, don't mean then you go and put gasoline on the fire. You're supposed to put that fire out. And the fire extinguisher they used to put it out was to literally kill those people and then take their problem and put it over top of them. That's not how that works. I mean, clearly that's one way you could do it, but that's not how it works. The month of March. Just wanted to put that out there here for a few minutes just to talk about that, right? The month of March. What is in this month? So many tabs open here. Let me find where. There we go. So, this is giving me different things than what I saw before. It's interesting how that worked. Everything is around National Women's History Month, which is real. Okay, but we're going to go in a little deeper here. Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. Okay, so for those in our family, right, talking about family, the power to this thing is in the family. Unfortunately, one group of people thought that they could put their family over somebody else's, which was wrong. It's about all families, right? This is about sharing the thing, y'all, not monopoly. Sharing, okay? Red Cross Month. This is just something that I'm looking up on National Day calendar. I'm not doing no deep dive, but we do this on the podcast on purpose because it's time to bring out what's going on around the world around you. We care less about 40-something-year-old J.D. Vance and those who think that way, right? We could care less about 60, 70, 80-year-old Donald Trump and folks who think that way, okay? And this is whether you use, we're not just bashing Republicans, because y'all already know, as far as government goes here on this podcast, they're both wrong. So this would be Joe Biden trying to let in all the immigrants and not having nothing. There was no increased amounts in the EBT cards for the black folks who need them, or our Latin brothers and sisters, or anybody else on welfare, right? We know that conversation, okay? There's no assistance. There's no rebuilding any communities. Again, you got towns, you got governments and towns in Tulsa that will tell you we're talking about the living survivors of that mess in the Greenwood district in Tulsa, right? Unprovoked attack. You can use all the excuses you want to. An unprovoked attack. Okay? And they went before their government, as you should, as a citizen of the United States, right? And they told them no. There was some stuff that went on with mayor or governor, my apologies, I think it's governor, Catherine Hochul. And an article that was done in the New York Post, I want to say it was last year before, from the group there at the New York Post saying that the idea of reparations is silly. This is the article. It's there. Y'all can look it up. And how they made a task force to look into the subject. Inside the article, they say that it would worsen the racial divide. The racial divide, one, was made by those of an adversarial mindset. Again, like we talked about in Genesis, everybody was chilling. Man and woman had their purpose. And then there came that serpent, a.k.a. the adversary, a.k.a. the devil, a.k.a. the lion seeking whom to devour, taking holy notions and twisting them. That's what you saw come along and threw all the family dynamic out of whack. Through all of the stuff. If those are the first people ever made, y'all, we talking about now all of us begotten after, right? Through all that mess out of whack. People were living down here in peace. All the people groups. Unfortunately, folks squabble and fight and argue. These are some of the synonyms for the word argue, by the way. for everybody. There's so many times I talk about we're arguing out here for no reason. And people say, we ain't arguing. No, the definition of the word argue is not like argue when you bring up an argument that we could have respectfully. See, you live in equivocal language. So now the same argument when you say argue as a verb, different than a noun, means where you squabble and fight. And that's what you got out here, y'all. We ain't trying to present two thoughts to each other in an educational manner. There's no dissertations going on out here. This is poop slinging, to not use too much colorful language. That's what you got out here. We're a bunch of, you want to talk about the sand monkey and how the black man is an ape or all this other mess, man. We talking about folks, not just people looking like monkeys out here slinging mess at each other instead of helping each other get up out the cage we're in. Right. So shout out to that family in Ohio, man. Not family, group of people in Ohio as you got Nazi mess going all around them. Where's the executive order for that, by the way? Do you hear him saying anything about that? You don't hear President talking about that because they ain't got nothing to do. Never mind. Eventually somebody gonna get it. Develop back on this thing with March, man. Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. That's where we at, right? Athletic Training Month, cerebral palsy. We gotta love our brothers and sisters that are really going through it, man. Physical ailments, man. Stuff breaks down in your mind and in your physical brain, man. They got Breast Implant Awareness Month here, ladies. I must say this, right, because we talked about this with feminism and stuff like that, and we've seen an increase in population in the people, right, who the genders, right, male and female, okay, and we understand for those who are non-binary, because also have a non-binary group here. If you don't identify with either, see again, gender roles done screwed up this thing so much that people don't want to have nothing to do with it, and I get it. Male driven, by the way, because again, you got to say that only the man can do this and only the woman can do that, but the woman is helping the man do. Let it go. Number one, understand that we both have a role to play. Number two, and then whoever believes in each way they do, let them be. Can we do that? It's almost as if we can't do that. Like we have to. Again, you got a new witch hunt. So you let go the witch now and the warlock or the druid, right? Or the Satanist, because the Satanist was big back in the 80s, right? Or the pagan, right? You let that go now. And now it's the transgender and the homosexual, which is kind of just repeating history because the homosexual has been always so abused. It's been about abuse. It ain't been about nothing else other than that, just abuse, right? If y'all heard any noise in the background, that was my little protector there. But back on this, National Breast Implant Awareness Month. Joan Rivers comes to mind when you talk about surgeries that you have, and we know we got BBLs out there, and or Brazilian butt lifts, right? Okay. Botox is out there. That one's is popular and stuff. Again, just let's be healthy, family. Again, we've all got different body types and stuff. And again, the man has made sure to put a certain image in front of you that this is what we're talking about, men messing with women. Then you're gonna come back and call them out on their name, but you want them looking like that. Never mind. But this is no different than Adam talking to God. You talk to the maker like this. You already know dude is bold when you can talk to your maker this way. You got to be careful. And then we're supposed to live and integrate. No. I'm supposed to pray for folks who are, listen, we pray that the light of illumination, right, and understanding in the inner person that is talked about in the Bible, okay? By God, by the maker, we understand that, right? We pray for that kind of thing to happen. But the mess? No, that mess got to stop. That mess got to stop, be torn down, and rebuilt in a better way. What? No, so we should be careful. Do your due diligence to study out these different surgeries and stuff that people go through. Again, we understand. Folks do not like their body. It's funny. So it's okay for breast implants, but not okay for gender changes. We'll leave it alone. We'll leave it alone. Right? So there's that. Just be careful out there, family, right, ladies? You know, again, as the phrase goes, the practice in medicine. Okay. So when you go under that knife, right? Just saying what it is. And we've seen where these augmentations and things like that, they come out fine. Everybody is, you live your life healthy, right? Fancy free. That's all right. That's what we want. Okay. But just be careful before we do a lot of these things, man. Sometimes through health and fitness, you can get your body to certain healthy places we should just be naturally okay with, right? Again, not talking against anything, just saying some things to be aware of. Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month. As many people who suffered and died from MS. We have to be aware. Of course, St. Patrick's Day is coming up here in a couple of days, so Irish American Heritage Month, right? So shout out to our Irish family. Again, because we talk on things pro-black here, this is not pro-people, okay? But this is protection for people no matter who it is, right? And each people group, like we said, you go over in Europe, man, too much fighting over in Europe. Too much. Of which the Irish have had to deal a lot from good old England, but we'll leave that alone. We'll leave it alone, right? So the Irish Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, okay? National Kidney Month. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how else. Asset Management Awareness Month. Well, let's take the time to look at that one here for a second. Urges businesses and organizations to learn how to improve asset and property management practices. Too much with the Karen activity where we talk to the workers and we don't talk to the actual business and organization itself. Send your complaints to them because that's where it's most powerful. The worker's not going to be able to do anything for you. So if you don't like the fact that the bathroom doesn't have this edition or that this store doesn't have this for you, again, going to your worker and even the boss of said place you go to will not help. You know, I was in a store yesterday and the power went out. Okay. How many times have we seen this? Because of greed, places don't close down for the day, right? The power's out. You can't be rung up, you know. Again, it's independent on the day, like if it's at the daytime and stuff. Again, if I'm just in there shopping for some whatever it is, I can come back. Okay. This is my mindset. Other people, whatever it is, what it is, right? But then we're putting undue stress on the folks there. We can't, and then they like demand for services. You hear people getting into arguments with folks. What are we doing? Are we serious? You gonna bring that kind of ruckus and there's already some calamity going on in the building you're in? The power's out. What are you gonna do? I mean, what do you do? This is what I mean about like in the mind with folks, man. How you're battling things in people's what? Somewhere along, I guess they got taught that it's okay. Never mind. Right. Yeah. So St. Patrick's Day is there. Okay. We already know many people believe that this is now the beginning of the start of the new year, which I'm one who wholeheartedly believes that. I understand they attach this kind of thought with a cult, but again, stuff is growing, things are growing. So guess what? It's all growing. You would assume that's the new time, right? Because it just died previous months, and now it's regrowing again, new year. But again, you got Julian calendar and how people want to divide up time. So National Social Work Month, man. Shout out to the social worker one time, man. Stepping in the gap, being there for these babies, man. Left in this foster care system, cold system out here, man. Doing the Lord's work. Of course, we're not talking about National History Month. We can't talk enough about women's contribution to the life giver. Okay? Never mind. I'm gonna leave it alone. See, it's just some of the things, man. They got like Frozen Food Month here and National Noodle and Flour. One is cheerleader safety. That's a real thing, right? Cheerleader safety is a real thing. Another one is caffeine awareness, right? So again, some of us can drink a bit too much coffee. I like coffee just the same. So it's, this is a challenge to everybody. Okay. This is a challenge to us all, man. We're good over here, right? We're good. We're good over here on what people talking about, man. So we finished there. Let's just cap off here. We're 29 minutes. We're just gonna cap off on some things. Talking about AEW Revolution, that was 6 days ago. Okay, but we just want to end off here. Tony Storm talking about Women's History Month. Women made history that night at that match. Tony Storm, Mariah May. We'll let old Snoop play in the background here. Tony Storm and Mariah May put on an awesome match. There was a lot of glass breaking and glass falling in glass and all kinds of stuff. It was a good match, right? Again, wrestling is not a cute little dance. It's a fight, right? That's what these things are simulating. So Will Ospreay, and to me, best match of the night. Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. Really good match. Okay, probably definitely second best. They were in a steel cage. For everybody who's grown up watching wrestling, we know about these steel cages. They wound up doing a move that's called the Spanish Fly. It's basically two men flipping and one landing reverse of the direction they were in when they leap off of wherever they were, right? Just to boil it down a little bit, okay? And they did that from the top of the cage. So we're like 16, 20 feet up in the air, or whatever it is, right? Some thumbtacks were used there. For those who have watched wrestling long enough, you know it gets wild when the thumbtacks are there, and folks kind of face planted in the thumbtacks and stuff. So it was one of those kinds of matches that was, again, exactly what happens when you're in the street. It's vile, it's brutal. There's no, it's not cute. So Swerve Strickland, again, is being brought up. I think it's a smart move at AEW because the wave of yeeting over in WWE with Jey Uso is very real. And good to see, and it was going to be good to see come April 20th or the 19th, whenever, that they hand that championship over to them. Hopefully that they give that championship over to him. Yeet-a-mania can start, right? Swerve Strickland kind of jumped from the stands, a la like Batman peering over, looking at Gotham City and all that kind of thing. So that was kind of cool to see. Little feud now between him and Jon Moxley, aka Dean Ambrose for our WWE fans, right? So a lot of that stuff is cool. Some things to note here as we close. I want y'all to keep a couple things in mind that we will get back on next time we talk. Black-owned beach in California called Bruce's Beach. Black-owned railroad in Mississippi. Family, we're going to have to get to the point here where we rebuild. I think it's necessary to talk about this. Mount Bayou Railroad in Mississippi, right? This is just for some stuff for y'all to look at while we go on. The next time we're going to talk about the word rant, because a lot of people are apologizing for something that they should not. We're going to talk on that word rant, the definition of it. We'll end here with Lyndon Johnson's statement. This one kind of blew my mind, man. Because the president is... President's the ringleader of the circus family. I don't know how else to say it. The ringleader of the circus, man. So, this is something you can find on Snopes.com because it's fact checking if this was true and all that kind of thing, right? So your boy Lyndon B. Johnson, right? Lyndon Baines Johnson, I believe, is what the B stands for. Same one who said he was signing Negro bills. He didn't use the word Negro, he used something else back then. We're talking the 50s and stuff like that. We don't give a pass to nobody. This kind of thing like, he lived around. No. It's, again, especially when you're Christian and all that kind of thing, you're supposed to renew your mind. So you got to come away from a lot of stuff, right? This is from the edict of heaven and all that kind of thing. Depending on what people don't put proper weight on, right? Check this statement. If you can convince, this is to show you how we pit against each other. If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Speaking on Irish Heritage Month, right? We had talked about the fight that happened in New York City back during the Civil War as a result of the so-called white man pitting the so-called white man, aka the Irish man, putting them on the firing line to go fight for freedom from something that was their own type of thing. It was rich people fighting, and whoever lost there, Irish person, you're going. You could look it up. He won't notice you're picking your pocket. Hell, give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you. That's where we're going to end, family, right? Okay. Thank you for walking this road with me today. Thank you for your support and such. Let people know that we out here, y'all, right? Like, share, subscribe, all that. I don't have a subscription thing, but like and share this thing, right? The nations that hopped on, Germany and Poland, are the two new groups to add on to the UK, the United States, Oman, and the other one is slipping my mind. But those are the two new groups, Germany and Poland. Welcome to the family, right? Again, this is Worldwide Collective, man. Again, at one point on this planet, we was living in peace, and somebody started sowing all this ownership and who's better than and deception, and folks bought it. Chasing after greed, chasing after massa. Time to let it go and allow us to go back to that point of us living in peace, and we move on from there, right? That's what I got for y'all today, family. Thank you very much for walking this road with me. And until next time, and as always, look to find the beauty in a different view.